Happy Wednesday. Happy birthday. That's what I was about to say. I was about to say happy birthday, but I mean happy Wednesday. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty tired today. I was up past my bedtime last night, way past my bedtime for Loudon 100, which if you guys didn't see in the group, hi everyone, you're here, say hello. I had been so like I had been selected for something. It was incredible, but it kept me up past my bedtime. But I'm glad to be here with you guys today. How are you? Today we are going to talk about increasing your sales by shifting your focus, because we are business owners and we need to make sales, right? But so how are you guys today? First, tell me what's been going on for you. What's a goal you have when it comes to sales? Say hi. Let me know that you're here. What I would love to know is how many of you love sales? If you love sales, say yay! I love sales, right? If you don't love sales, be like, I don't love sales. So let me know how you're feeling about sales, right? That's what we're here to talk about, increasing sales. And I can't think of a business owner that doesn't really want to increase sales, right? You might be, and when I say increase, it doesn't necessarily mean increase in like number, because you might be at capacity, right? But it means increase in terms of like efficiency and what you're doing to get the sales as well. So Kelly says, nope, don't like sales. So Kelly is a big old nope for sales. How about everybody else? And if you're watching on replay, please go ahead and comment as well and let me know, if you love sales, if you love it and can't get enough of it. What I'm also curious about is, what is the biggest challenge that you have when it comes to sales? So is it you have trouble going out and networking to meet people or get people to talk to? Is it that you have trouble getting people on a sales call? Or is it, no, I'm really good at getting people on a sales call, but I have trouble getting people to move from a sales call to a purchase, right? Or is it something else, right? Because that's the way that it could be. I mean, right, those are the two main stages, is like getting people onto a sales call or getting people to a purchase, right? And I'm speaking in very like non-relationship kind of terms, because we're talking about a very technical piece of business building right now, right? We're talking about a technical piece of business building, which are sales. So, but you're going to hear at the end of the day, right? Relationships are what matters most. Hi, Tanya. Hi. Oh, hi, Wendy. Hi, everybody. I can't see everybody who's here, but say hi. Let me know you're here. It's always nice to know that people are here with me, especially today. Like I said, you guys know me. I get up at 5 a.m. every day, and I was up till like midnight last night. Hashtag up till midnight, right? Woo! So I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. Okay. So if you're just joining, just type in, do you love sales? Do you not like sales? And then for people who are here, let me know, where do you have the biggest struggle with sales? Is it getting people to come to your vendor table? Is it getting people on the phone with you? Is it getting people to say yes or to purchase? You don't have any trouble getting people interested, but it seems like you can't get a purchase. Like, let me know. The more you guys give me feedback in the comments, the more I can tweak this, right? Since I'm live, to give you real feedback. But okay, so what are you guys doing right now to make sales? Like, who wants to type some stuff in? What are you guys doing right now to make sales? Tracy's like, I was up at 5 a.m. I try not to do. I do it every morning. I'm up at 5 a.m. every morning. It's my sanctuary. I watch the sunrise come up every morning. It's my quiet time. It's my solitude time. But what are some of the things? So what are some of the, you guys are really quiet today. What are some of the things you guys are trying to sell? What are some, like private coaching or group coaching or a certain product or, a certain package that you have? Like, this is your time to talk about it a little bit. So in the comments, put what you're trying to sell. And I see Tracy says, knowing when to ask to get on the phone, right? So knowing when to make the offer, right? Like, hey, would you like to talk about that? I'd love to talk to you about that. Knowing when to offer a call, right? Knowing when to offer a call. Let's see what else. Went on a speaking commitment and followed up with each person. Oh, that's good. That's good, Wendy. I'm really glad. I'm really glad. What are you guys trying to sell though? I mean, you're a business, right? So it's like no shocker. No one's gonna be like, oh my gosh, she sells something. No, like what are you guys trying to sell, right? I will start, right? I am trying to sell. No, it's like I have one private coaching spot. That's it. That's it. That's my focus. One private coaching client, right? That's all I have for the rest of the year. So that's my focus. Let's see. Trying to license my online course. So Kelly is trying to give her online course to company. I'm writing that down. I love that. That's really good. Okay, what else? What else are you guys doing? Probiotics, great. So then let me ask you, Kelly, what are you doing? What are the different things you're doing to try to license your online course? And Sylvia, what are some of the things that you're doing to try to sell your probiotics? If you guys don't mind, since you guys were the ones to comment, all right, congratulations. You get asked more questions. Like you win the prize. What are the things that you guys are doing to try to make those sales? And Wendy, what are you doing to try to make sales of your coaching and training, right? And marketing. And Tracy, what are you doing to make sales of your private coaching, right? So I love these. These are all great. They all sound really wonderful. I'm just curious, what are the things that you're doing, right, to sell, to sell these things? So for example, right, let's see, hold on, you guys are typing. Oh, so Wendy was responding. Okay, so for example, I was talking to a girl the other day. She was at this event. She's not my client. She's not in this group. You know, I don't even think she's from Virginia. And she was telling me how she's trying to get some clients, right, for her business. I think she does like social media, something like that. And she was telling me how she was trying to get clients. And I asked her, oh, well, where are you trying to get your clients from? And she listed, right, like 20 different ways to get clients, right? So Sylvia says, my favorite way is to get on other people's podcasts. Okay, so other people's podcasts. What else? Who else? Right? So Sylvia likes other people's podcasts. Wendy likes speaking. I'm writing these down so I can reference them again. Wendy likes speaking. Kelly says emails. Oh, to find out who the contact person is. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, you know, it takes like 12 times, Kelly. I mean, it really does take 12 touches before people will do anything with anything, right? Like it's really true. So that's just the beginning, right? You're just at the beginning. Okay, so I like that. Other people's podcasts, speaking, but like I want to know in general, is that the only thing? Like, what are you doing? And so here's the conversation I had with this girl last night. So I was like, all right, you want to get clients, right? Like, cool. We were just killing time. Like I said, she's not a member of this group. She's not my client. We were just chatting at an event, so I wasn't like in coach mode, right? But I was like, well, what are you doing? And she started responding, and she's like, well, I have an Instagram account, and I'm starting a Facebook group, and I'm getting on LinkedIn and Twitter this weekend. I think I'm going to start taking a course so I can learn Pinterest. And I said, okay. And she was like, also, I'm trying to go to every single networking event that I can find. I'm just going to all the networking events. That's what I'm doing, right? And I was like, okay. And then, you know, trying not to be the coach, right? And so she's like, okay. And also, right? And also, right? And it seems like, right, like that, how many of you have done that before? Like you feel like you're doing 10 or 5 or whatever, but multiple things in order to get the one result. So you have a result, you want sales, right? You want a client, you want sales, you want whatever, but you're like, you've got a few different ways that you're going about trying to get the sales. Yes? Just say, if that's you or if that's been you, type yes in the comments below and let me know, like, you know, how, are you like, no, I only do one thing. That's it. I only network, and I only network at this one event, or, you know, whatever. Like, do you do multiple things to try to reach a result? Are you all in on one thing, right? And be honest. Like, when I started my business, I was very similar, right, to this woman. So that's when it comes to like what you're doing to get sales, right? But now let me ask you about what you're selling. Okay, so for people who sell products or people who sell services, right? I think that it can be, tell me if this sounds like you guys, okay? As an entrepreneur, as a person who develops services or products, and even if you're not developing your own product, right? Even if you're selling somebody else's product, right? So Tracy does multiple ways, Kelly does multiple ways, okay. But even if you're selling your own, like somebody else's product, or it can be really easy to like have lots of inspired ideas, right? Like as an entrepreneur, your minds, or somebody who kind of lives that entrepreneurial life, even if you're working for another company, true or false, you have a lot of different ideas, not just different ideas about how you can market, right? Like we were talking about, but like different ideas of how you can, what you can market. Like I could do a group coaching program. I could also have a course. I could run a retreat. I could do a workshop. I could get private clients. I could, so how many of you have all of these different inspired ideas about things? Oh my gosh, like today I thought I could do that. Today I thought about a one-day event I could run, right? I was like, oh, I could run this one-day event. Like nowhere have I been talking or thinking about running a one-day event, right? And today it popped into my head. Like how many of you have, like, it seems like you can't turn off the idea machine. You have a lot of ideas for what you want to offer in your business. Yes or no? Tracy's like, I have online and local clients. And Sylvia says we do multiple things for sure. Price point's low. I try to do things that are scalable. Okay. So like the reason I bring this up is that this is something I see, right? Like a lot of my clients have what I call like that shiny object syndrome, right? I don't call it that. The world calls it that. But it's like you have a business idea and you start down the path of the business idea, but then you get pulled away by one, right? So this can show up in two different ways, right? So Tracy's like, I only have four offers until next year, okay? This is what I mean by the getting pulled away, right? One is I'm going to start a Facebook group. And so you go and you start the Facebook group and you start, you know, posting in it and you start trying to get people in it, but it's not growing very quickly. It's taking some time. It's a little more effort than you thought, right? But you're doing it, you're posting, but nobody's really there to talk back, and you post, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I think I'm going to go try Instagram because I heard Instagram's a really good way to get engagement. So I'm going to hop over to Instagram, right? Or you're like, okay, I'm going to start Facebook Lives every week. I'm going to start Facebook Live every week. And you go to do your Facebook Lives every week and you do it for like 3 weeks in a row. And then like you miss a week and then you miss another week. And so then you're like, you know what? Like, I don't know about this Facebook Live thing, right? But what I have heard is good is like going to this event. And so I'm going to go to this event and I'm going to meet all these people, right? Like how, I mean, be honest, like how many of you have gotten pulled away from things like that before? You start the path, start down the path of doing one thing. And then like over here is another idea and you don't want to miss out. Like you hear everybody starting to use this platform or everybody's starting to be over here, or you decide you're going to send a newsletter, but then you also hear that maybe having a YouTube channel is the way to go, but then you hear maybe having a podcast is a way to go, and then you hear maybe being on other people's podcasts is a way to go. And so the list of things just kind of start increasing. Can you guys relate to that? But then also with what you're offering. So it's like, oh, I'm going to offer private coaching. And then it's like, I'm going to do it. And I'm putting it out there and nobody's like biting yet, right? Like nobody's like, yeah, let's do this. I want to have private coaching with you. So then, right, maybe you've marketed private coaching for like 2 weeks in a row or something. And you're like, you know, no one signed up for a call with me. Like, I think I'm going to go ahead and offer like this lower cost, like, program or this lower cost group or this lower cost PDF, right? So who has done that before, right? So those are the two scenarios I'm talking about right now. You have an idea for what you want to do in your business, you start down the path, and then you get like 10 other inspired ideas and you want to kind of start implementing as many of those as possible, right? If that's you, type 1. If that's ever been you or that's you, type 1, right? It's like I have an idea, but now I've got 18 other ideas and now I kind of want to do them all, right? And or like I want to be in all the places, right? So I want to be in all the places. I want to be like on Instagram and Pinterest, and like I need to be everywhere. I don't want to miss out. I don't want to miss the train. I don't want to like whatever. But well, let me get your answers first. Right? So those are the two. Which camp are you in? Are you in both camps? Are you in one camp? Like which camp? So hi Jillian. So like to recap for people who just hopped on, hi Kathy. Hi Jacqueline. To recap real quickly, right? We're talking about like that the kind of equivalent of the shiny object syndrome, but in two different ways, right? One is like, I've got a plan. I'm going to do a Facebook group, and you start your Facebook group and you start down this plan, and the interaction isn't really like people are joining, but it's not quick. There's not a lot of interaction in the group. There's not a lot of, so then you hop over to like Instagram and decide you're going to do Instagram, right? And go all in on Instagram. And then you see about the latest app and you hop over there and you try it out and you set up your account and you start trying to engage people, and then you hear podcasts are the way to go, so you hop over and you try a podcast, and then you've done a couple of episodes of your podcast, and then it's like, wait, but I want to go speak in person, and so you start doing that, right? That's one thing. Then the other are your offerings, right? So that's your marketing way, and then the other is your offerings. So it's like, I'm going to offer private coaching spots. And so for 2 weeks, you just keep talking about and marketing private coaching. But then after 2 weeks of people like not signing on, you're like, you know what? I also have this idea for this low cost course, and I've got this PDF, and maybe I'll do some audios. I might do an in-person event. You have all these inspired ideas of things you could do and offers you could make, and those all start adding to the plate, right? But here's the thing, and here's what happens, right? Here's what's happening in that. So like in the one scenario, Wendy said she's a 1, Kathy's a 1, Tracy's, but like when you're starting to offer multiple things, well, I'll get to that one in a minute. When you're starting to hop between all the, like, I'm going to do a Facebook group, and then you do that for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then it's like, it's not as exciting or sexy or as quick results, or it's a little more work than you thought or whatever. So now you're on to the next shiny thing. What happens is when you hop from one thing to the next, right, you're trying to do all the things, and you're trying to do them in all the places, and you're trying to like implement all the strategies, right? So that's what your day starts getting full of. And this is where I hear from people. So I know more of you are doing this than you're saying, right? Because I hear from people all the time, my day is so full, my day is so busy, I'm doing all of this stuff. And then I'll say, cool, but you're calling me because you say you don't have the number of clients you want and you don't have the income you want, but you're saying that your days are full. So how many of you feel like that? Your days are full. You are doing things all day long to grow your business, but you still don't have the clients you want, and you still don't have the sales you want, and you still don't have the income that you want. Is that a yes? Yes? No? Like, is that you? Right? Because I guarantee I hear this all the time with so many people, right? It's like, I'm so full. I don't, because when I'll say, okay, well, have you ever thought about this? I think you need to create some content like this. I think you need to step up your content. I think you need to do this. I think you need to start networking here. They're like, Rita, I don't have any time. I'm already doing so much, right? Can you guys relate to that? So this is what I hear from people who contact me all the time. Like, they have big ideas to impact the world. Of course they're creative. Of course they have a million things they want to do. But whether they're jumping from marketing strategy to marketing strategy, or they're jumping from offering to offering, what happens is their day is full of activities, right? Full of activities, but with no meaningful results, right? So again, before I kind of went down that road, the thought process is, the Facebook group's not growing as quickly. That's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for me to be here and talk to myself. And I've been talking to myself for 2 weeks, and like even Facebook Lives, right? Like sometimes it's nobody on with me and I'm just talking to myself, right? And that can be uncomfortable. And so after a while of being uncomfortable, like a couple of days, a couple of weeks, you're like, I think I'm going to bail. This isn't feeling, so I'm going to say, I'm going to chalk it up to it's not working. And I'm going to go to something else. And I'm going to go do something else. Or it's like, it's working, but not enough. Right? This thing is working. Maybe you have a Facebook group and it's working, like I said, a little bit. People are joining and people are whatevering, but it's not what you wanted, right? You want more. So instead of just doing more with the Facebook group, you go over and do something else completely, right? Do you guys relate to that, right? So here's what I like. And so Tracy, I'm curious, what are revenue generating activities for you? If you wouldn't mind typing that, because I see Tracy says, I used to be like that, but now I'm super focused with doing revenue generating activities first. So Tracy, I would love if you just listed like what some of those revenue generating activities are for you, right? I will say this, right? Like what builds a business is focus and execution, right? Focus and execution. And all you need is one idea and one strategy, right? Hence the all-in entrepreneur. I'm in on one thing that I'm selling at a time. It doesn't mean that that's the only thing you'll ever sell in your business, right? But I'm in on one thing with one strategy to sell that one thing, and I'm going to see it through and I'm going to work it until it works, right? Like that's all you need, right? That's all you need. Now, like I said, when I started my business, right, I did not like it was so you guys probably know my story, I imagine, right? If you don't, you can listen to my podcast. Episode 1 tells my story, but I didn't phase out of life as a lawyer. It wasn't like, oh, I think I'm going to quit my job and let me just carefully create an exit plan to like exit out of my job as an attorney. And like, no, like I ended up quitting my job because it was just, it got terrible, and I quit and I came home and I was like, I'm a dating coach now, right? And my husband was like, cool, right? But like what it was is like we did, my husband and I did more than fine on 2 incomes, right? We did more than fine on my attorney salary and his salary, but we were not prepared for one salary. This was not a carefully thought out plan, right? It was like, I'm quitting, right? So when my husband was like, cool, baby, new husband, by the way, we had only just got married a couple months ago, a couple months prior to that. He was like, cool, you have like 3 months to make some money doing that. Otherwise, you can still do it on the side, but I'm going to need you to go back to like a law job, right? While you build the state coaching practice on the side, because I was a date coach after I got out of law school. So what I did, right? And tell me if you did this at the beginning of your business, or maybe you're doing this now. Be honest. Say, you can type, I did this at the beginning. I'm doing it now. Just be honest, right? But when I started my business, I took any client that I could find. Like I marketed to everyone. I would get up at networking events and I would say, I help people. How many of you have ever, I help people who, how many of you have said that, right? Like I help people who, right? I help people who, but I marketed to every person that I could find about any challenge that they were having. I was so scared to be too narrow, right? I was so scared to be too narrow for fear of alienating any potential business because I was new and I really wanted business, right? So that was what was going on at the beginning of starting my job. I mean, my own business, right? I also wore all the hats in my business, right? I was my admin assistant, of course. I mean, it's at the beginning, right? I was my web designer. I was my admin assistant. I designed my graphics. I managed my social media. I did my bookkeeping. I did all of that, right? I also said yes to everything that came my way at the beginning of my business. So people would be like, hey, do you want to go networking here? Yes, right? That whole say yes to everything. Do you want to be on this podcast? Yes. Do you want to do this? Yes. Do you want to be part of this telesummit? Yes. Right? Like I just said, I was a big old yes to like almost everything. And then I watched tons of free trainings, right? When I started my business, it was like, I couldn't get my hands on enough. In fact, they're still in my email inbox. Like I haven't gone through and deleted them all, right? Like every free training I could find about anything at all related to business building, and any strategy I heard, I implemented it, right? Can you guys relate to any of those statements at all? I know I'm not the only one, right? Hi, Gwen. I know that I am not. Hi, Billy. Leah, hello. I know I'm not the only one, right? So what happened was I was doing all of these things. I was trying to help all the people. I was making all the offerings. I was like saying yes to everything. I was networking everywhere. I was doing all the strategies, right? I was doing it all. And I had a good number of clients, right? I actually had a good number of clients, but there was no rhyme or reason to like where they were coming from, right? Because I was doing so much, there was really no rhyme or reason as to how it was happening. So it kind of seemed more like luck, right, than anything else. And the people, they weren't even ultimately like my favorite kinds of clients, right? And because I was doing all of this stuff, I saw my family less, right? I saw my husband less. I saw my friends less. I was not eating. I mean, you guys can go back to pictures of me, right? For those of you who know, I'm 50 pounds lighter right now. But when I started my business, I think I'm 70 pounds lighter. than right after I started my business, right? Because after I started my business, I stopped working out. I stopped eating right. Like I stopped sleeping well, right? It was like I was constantly on the go, but it was like nothing was resulting from constantly being on the go, right? I was irritable. I was tired. How many of you felt like that? Maybe you feel like that now. Again, type now if you feel like that now. It's totally fine, right? I think all of us have been there. Or just let me know if you've ever felt like that. Did you feel like that at the beginning, right? Were you doing all the things? Were you wearing all the hats? Were you trying to help all the people? Maybe you're doing it now, networking all the places, right? It feels like you're working around the clock. You're working all the time. You're sacrificing your health. You're sacrificing time with your family. Like, what? That's what happened to me when I started my business. And there was one day that my husband brought home ice cream for me, like as a surprise, because I love ice cream. And he was like, here's some ice cream. And I didn't ask for anything. This was just a really nice thing that my husband did, yes? And so I looked at the ice cream and I started yelling at him because it was the wrong flavor. Like it was a flavor I didn't eat. I don't even remember what the flavor was, but it was a flavor that I didn't eat. And I was like, oh my God, like you can't even bring me the right flavor ice cream? Like, right? Like I just went like, how many of you have ever had a moment like that, right? Then I start crying. It was like out of like a commercial, like who knows what was happening. I was yelling about ice cream. I was crying. I was tired. I was irritable, right? And you guys are super quiet, but I'm going to hold firm to knowing that I am not the only person that has ever been in this situation at all, right? And so after I yelled at my husband for bringing me ice cream, right, because it was the wrong flavor, that's when I sat down. And I sat down and I was like, something has to change. Like, what am I doing? Because I had built a successful law practice, right? I had phased out of like being partners with people in the law practice and had my own. And I was like, because I didn't have this problem as a lawyer. I didn't have this problem building my own law practice. And I was like, what is it about the coaching thing that has me like spinning my wheels and crying and like yelling at my husband about freaking ice cream, people? And what is it that like I did over my law practice that worked so well? And that's where I started uncovering all of this stuff, right? And what I wanted to say is like my business wasn't where it's at, that I didn't have the clients I wanted, and I didn't have everything I wanted because my marketing must not be right, right? That's the thought process when people are hopping from platform to platform or from networking group to networking group or whatever. It's like, oh, my plan must be wrong, right? Like I don't have the clients I want, but the problem is that I'm on Facebook and maybe I should be on Instagram, right? Or it's like, oh, my problem is no one's reading my newsletter. And so instead, I need to be on Facebook, right? Or, oh, the problem is what I'm offering. I'm offering private coaching, but maybe I should offer a group, right? So we make it a marketing problem, or we make it like a sales problem even, right? We're like, oh, like our business isn't where we want it to be because it's my marketing strategy, or it's my structure for a sales call. If I could just learn a new script or how to have a better sales call, right? Or, I don't know, maybe you guys have your own, right? If I just went to a different networking group, maybe if I just marketed to a different audience, I need a better audience. I need an audience that's ready to work with me, right? Like I need an audience that's just ready, that has money and is ready to like pay me. How many of you have ever said anything like that before, right? I know most everybody has, right? I know most everybody has. And, you know, it's like, oh, like, but none of that was the problem. It wasn't my offering. It wasn't like where I was networking. It wasn't the social media platforms I was on. It wasn't anything, right? It was me. I was the problem. I was the common denominator in everything, right? Me, I was the problem. And that's what I tell my clients. You guys are standing in your own way, right? When you're hopping around and you're like trying to help all the people do all the things and you're marketing in all the places and all the ways on all the days, you think you're doing so much, or like I'm spreading so wide and like I should have tons of clients because I have extreme visibility. I'm in all the places, right? But I'm not getting any clients. Like, no, trust me, you're not doing yourself a favor, right? Like you're actually standing in your own way because what you're doing is you're tricking yourself. You're tricking yourself into thinking that you're showing up fully for your business, right? You're tricking yourself to do that. Even like I was talking to a client today and I was like, what have you been spending your days on, right? Because she's like, my sales aren't where I want them to be. And I was like, what have you been spending your time on? And it was like email and creating content and coming up with a group coaching program and like the content for group coaching program and like cleaning her office, like getting her desk organized. But she's had full days, right, of doing stuff that, yes, technically is related to her business. But like, what I mean is that's just tricking yourself into thinking you're showing up for your business fully because your calendar's full. And just because your calendar's full, and even when it's full with business building activities, does not mean you're showing up for your business fully. Do you guys get what I'm saying, right? So I was in my way because I was jumping. I was jumping from this thing to that thing. I was switching between like the types of clients I served, the offers that I had, my pricing even, like I couldn't settle on a price, like how I was getting things done, even how I was nurturing relationships, how I chose to do that, right? Like I wasn't, because I was trying to do all of that, I couldn't do any one thing well, and you can't do any one thing consistently when you're trying to do all the things, especially when you're starting your business and you're the only person, right? Like, can you guys relate? Yes, no? Hi, Carrie. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Kim. Are you guys here? Are we good? Are you still right? Give me every now and then just some feedback that like I'm talking about what is interesting to you, right? Like, because I can pivot. I can start talking about something else. But, right, like, I was consistent with nothing. When you're trying to do so much, you really, like if you're doing newsletters and a Facebook group and a blog and a podcast and a this and a that and a that, but you're not at the sales you want. You don't have the number of, you're not making the revenue you want to make, right? You're never going to reach that revenue you want to make because you're doing so much you can't be consistent with anything, right? So the minute that I learned where to put my focus is when everything changed and my sales increased. By shifting my focus, right? Here was my focus. That was my focus, right? Like, but by shifting it and knowing what to focus on, right? Everything changed because I promise you, if you do the right work and you focus on the right actions, you're gonna get the results that you want. Right, you're going to get it. And so that's what led me to talk to you today, right? Like I've talked about this before, but like this has come up again. It always comes up in the fall. This always comes up in the fall with people starting businesses or after the summer or whatever, they're back into it and they're just like, here's all the things I'm doing, Rita. I'm making all these offers and I'm like, I've got 4 offers out at one time and I've got this. It's like, slow your roll a little bit, right? Like, I shared a post about my client Wendy today. Who is Wendy? I don't know if you're still here, but who saw that? So Wendy chimed in here. She said hello, right? And Wendy, when she started with me, she was super focused on making money, as most people are. When you start a business, especially if you quit a job, like to start a business, right? Like you're focused on making money. But she was so focused on making money that she forgot to focus on how she was doing it. And again, I don't know if any of you can relate. Like, yes, no, are you guys here? Are you good? Are you liking this? Let me ask you, are you? I'm going to say, oh, I can't type because my keyboard's broken, right? My keyboard is so broken, guys. It's so, I don't know what's happening. It's adding in extra letters and all this stuff. But I'm saying like, and it won't even do a question mark. I can't even ask you guys a question. Are you guys liking this? Are you liking it? I tried to type it. So my client Wendy, right, so she was so focused on making money, she forgot to focus on the process, and she was trying to do, she was the same way I just told you. She was trying to do all the things for all the people, right? She was a marketer, but she wanted to help everybody with marketing. Any kind of business owner, she wanted to help, right? And I think that's okay at the very, very beginning. I don't think, in fact, I discourage it. I don't think you need an ideal client. I don't think you should have an ideal client at the beginning. I don't think that you should have a super narrow focus at the beginning, right? Like, I think you just need to get some clients so that you know who your ideal clients are, so that you know, like, what you want to do, right? But when she was beyond that stage, right? She wasn't new. She was doing okay, right? She just didn't have the sales she wanted. And so she was beyond the stage of like just trying to figure it all out. But she was so scared, right? There was a scarcity of losing money, of losing an opportunity, of losing whatever, that she was trying to help all business owners, all of them, with all of their marketing needs and everything that they needed, right? And she had all of these like ideas and offers to them to help all kinds of people like that, right? So she was jumping from strategy to strategy, and she wasn't putting her time or attention on any one thing enough to see it through. She kept getting distracted. And when it seemed like results weren't coming, because she didn't have the clients and the sales she wanted. So when it seemed like results were, I do this because it's like, right? When it seemed like sales weren't coming, she got freaked out and she would bail to something else. I don't have time to sit here and wait for my Facebook group to grow and to get engaged and blah, blah, blah. I need a sale and I need a sale now. So I'm going to go over here and try this. And then she'd try this and she wouldn't get a sale. And she'd be like, but I can't wait. I can't wait for this. Like, I need to go. And she'd go to a networking meeting and she'd be like, nobody wanted to work with me. Nobody wanted to call. And I'm like, well, what are you doing to nurture relationships and all of that? And she'd be like, I don't have time for that. I have to make a sale. So I need to go over here, right? So she was like jumping around. Well, a few months ago, we've been working together for a while, but a few months ago, she called me so excited because in the time that we had worked together, we still work together, but for that year that we had worked together, her revenue doubled. She was like, Rita, my revenue doubled. And I said, well, what do you think the things were, right, that we focused on so far that have helped you double your revenue? Because I believe other people would very much like to know this, right, in your words. And so she told me, and I shared it in the group today in a post. So if you guys haven't seen it, like, check for that, right? But the long story short is she narrowed her target market, even though she said it was really hard, right, to not want to help all the people do all the things. She couldn't help all the business owners do all the kind of marketing. She could help a very narrow subset of business owners do a very narrow subset of marketing, right, to do that well. And so she did that. She got very specific about what she did for them. Again, she didn't do all the marketing anymore. She wanted the most meaningful results. When she really knew this is who I wanted to help, she's like, well, this is what's going to give them the most meaningful results. So these are the only things I'm going to offer. I'm not going to offer things that aren't really bringing them a meaningful result. Right? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to offer these things that won't bring them a meaningful result. So there are a lot of people I know out there, coaches and service providers. If you're a product on only products, this still applies for you in that you're usually marketing multiple products at one time, right? So keep that in mind. But like she you know, when she got really specific, right, she was able to, like, I forget where, just to be honest, I forgot my train of thought. It's like, whew, so I'll go back to that. But so she, like, narrowed her market, right, to this very specific kind of person. And she was like, I want them to have the biggest result. Oh, I know what it was. See, there's so many people that I talk to that have, like, these low-cost programs, just to make money. Like, oh, I'm marketing these bundles and these PDFs and these whatevers, but they don't yet have the income that they want from their private clients, right? Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with passive income or doing that kind of stuff after you have, right, consistent income at the level that you want. You've kept it consistent, right? But so I see all these people doing this, right, out of scarcity, right? They're just throwing spaghetti on the wall and they hope that it sticks. And that's what she was doing, right? So when she narrowed her market, who she was helping, she could get to know them very well, right? I've shared this story before about when I was a dating coach and I tried to help all the singles, right? Helped all the singles with dating. But when I really focused on divorced women in their 40s, I could learn them. They were very different than never married women in their 40s, right? A divorced woman in her 40s had way different ways of thinking about dating and different challenges and different problems than a 40-year-old who was never married. So by narrowing, I could really know them, right? I could really learn my audience and learn their pain points. And then I could also learn what result that they wanted, right? I knew that they just wanted to have fun dating. They didn't want to go meet the love of their life yet. They wanted to, like, learn about themselves and have fun dating and enjoy the process, right? So then I was able to make the offer to them of what would help them do that the most, and that was private coaching, right? So that's what I'm talking about. So Wendy said, I narrowed my target market. I focused on what would give them the most meaningful results. I priced things accordingly, right? She got out of scarcity mindset and into abundance mindset. And instead of having a million different prices, she had one price and, like, she held firm to it, right? She said no to anything else. She said no to clients that wanted her to discount her rates. She said no to other things that, like, when they wanted things that she had said, no, I'm not offering this, right? And all the time, she just knew by doing this, like, she really had worked on her mindset to get abundance going and step out of the scarcity-based thing. So then with all of that, she was able to stick to her strategy, right? So what would happen, and this is the boring part, right? This is, like, the not fun part. She would start, let's say, with a Facebook group, and she started her Facebook group, and again, people weren't coming, and people weren't and, like, maybe a few people did, and then she's like, oh my God, but, like, Rita, it's so slow, right? That's when she wanted to bail. It was uncomfortable to not get responses. It was really worrisome to not see results. She felt very anxious, right? But she would come to me and she would say, Rita, and I'm like, don't do that. Don't leave. Don't go to Instagram. I don't want to see you posting over there. I don't want to see, I just want to see you double down on your group. Do more in your group. If you feel like you need to do more on the one strategy you're already executing. Don't start another thing. Do more on the thing. That's how you get more results, right? Your results are equal to the actions you take. So if you want bigger results with the strategy you're working, don't go like add other strategies. Do more of the strategy that you're working, right? And that required her to develop patience, right? And patience is the #1 skill you need in order to achieve success, right? It means giving your strategy the time and the attention to build the results that you want instead of being impatient. How many of you, I was at the beginning, how many of you have been so impatient that you bail on things? You bail on strategies, you bail on offers, you bail on groups, you bail on networking, you bail on a flow of like follow-up, you bail on whatever, right? Because it seems so slow to produce results and you get impatient. Yes? No? I know I'm not the only one there. Right? I know I'm not the only one. It's very hard for me now, right? Like it's hard when I show up for Facebook Lives and like the last one I did, I had a huge group. It was really engaged. This one, not so many people. Sometimes I have none, right? I have to cultivate patience and look at the long-term vision and not just what's happening on the short term, right? So focus, like I share that story about my client because focus is great, right? We love focus. Focus is wonderful. How many of you have been told by people, you just need to focus? You just need to focus more. Then the sales will come if you just focus more, right? But if you don't know what to focus on, right? If you don't know what to focus on, then it's not going to be help. It's not going to be much help for you at all, right? So when people contact me and they contact me frustrated that they're not seeing the results that they want, right? It's because they're spending the majority of their day on the wrong actions, which is why I asked Tracy, like, what are you working on? And a lot of Tracy's actions were good, right? But when I ask you guys, and if you're watching on replay, I want you to answer, right? Answer in the comments below or however it's viewing on your thing. What are you spending the majority of your day on? So when I asked my clients today, the two that I talked to, what are you spending the majority of your day on? These two specific people had very similar answers. They were working on copy for their website. They were, one was trying to come up with a business name. The other was just doing like admin, like trying to clean up her desk and file papers and like get things organized. They were spending their time on podcasts. They were trying to get on podcasts to be interviewed on podcasts. They were writing articles. One was trying to be published like online in the Huffington Post. Another was writing a blog, right? Another had a blog, right? Guys, so I told them, you guys are doing all the wrong activities, right? If you're not yet at the income that you want, how many, okay, let me ask this. Type 1 if this is true for you. So type 1 if this is true. Type 2 if this is not true. Okay, so I'm going to say a statement, and I want you to type 1 if it's true, and then I want you to type 2 if it's not true. I make the income that I want to make, and I've kept that income consistent for 6 or more months in a row. 6 consecutive months or more, I have made the level of income that I want to make. 1 if it's true, 2 if it's not true. Type that in for a minute so I get an idea of where you guys are at, right? So I'll say it again. If this statement is true for you, type 1. If it's not true for you, type 2. I have made the income that I want to make, the level of income I want to make, I have made it and kept that level of income consistent for 6 months or more, 6 consecutive months or more. Is that a 1 or a 2 for you? And if you're watching on replay, please answer 2 because that will help me with like all the other things that I do. It's really good for me to get an idea, right? So Jillian's like 2. That's not true for me, right? 1 if that's true, 2 if it's not true, right? So here's the thing. I split business into 2 things, right? And I promise you, I was the only one saying this. Now I've heard 1 or 2 people start mimicking the Rita talk, which I should be grateful for. But like, I should also trademark this, right? Oh, Tracy said 2 as well, right? So if you're not at the level of income that you want yet, or you've hit it a couple of times, but you haven't kept it consistent for 6 months or more, you are in what I call a business building phase. So write that down. If that was not true for you, if you are not at the income you want yet, or you haven't kept that income consistent for 6 consecutive months, you are in a business building phase, right? If you have, you are in a marketing phase, okay? You guys got that? Like if you have made the income you want and you've kept that income consistent for at least 6+ months, consecutive months, you are in a marketing phase. What does that mean? There are different actions that you should be doing based on the phase of business that you're in. So for all of you who said that wasn't true, right, you're in a business building phase. So if you're in a business building phase, these are the really, truly the only things that should be filling your days. You should be having you should go to networking events. You can also network online. I'll talk about that in a minute. So networking events in person, networking events online. You should be speaking, and you should be doing vendor tables, and you should be having sales calls. And that's like it, right? If you don't have the clients you want yet, don't start adding in other stuff. Don't write a blog. Don't be on podcasts. Don't do all of that, right? Like only do these things. So like double down on those things. So networking, obviously that's like networking offline. We all know what that is. But networking online. Here's what networking online isn't. It's not doing those educational posts, right? It's not your own posts. That's not networking online, right? Unless it's like a community engagement kind of question, right? That's not networking online. Networking online is commenting on other people's posts. So like if somebody says, hey, like they're doing an educational post, here are 3 tips to feel more productive in your day, blah, 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 blah. And then they ask a question at the end, like, how would you do that? Where could you use more energy in your day, right? Networking online means answering their question. Oh, I would use more energy by blah, 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 right? Not saying yes, not saying I like it, not saying all of that, but just literally like answer it. Jillian, I'm going to tell you why having your own podcast is not truly speaking. It helps you with speaking. But yeah, yes, okay, so hold on. Yes, it's speaking, but no, it's not a business building activity. It's a marketing activity, okay? And I'll tell you why, Jillian. I'll tell you why in a minute, okay? I promise. Don't let me forget that. Don't let me forget telling you why. And now I forget what I was talking about before. So anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter because it's all good stuff. So, right, in the business building phase, right, like, oh, networking online. Networking online isn't posting your own post. It's responding to other people. It's also asking, hey, like, I love everything you've posted, Tracy. I love everything you post in this group, and I've been watching your stuff, and like, I would just love to learn more about you, right? So could we get on a Zoom call? I'd just like to learn about your business for 10 minutes, right? So networking on the internet, networking online, like getting to know about other people and their business, so you can build a relationship with them, or about their life, not just about their business, but about their life, and like just learning about them and not about you, and not about selling something and not about that, right? That is relationship building. Commenting on their stuff, engaging, trying to get to know other people, right? That's relationship building in terms of online networking. That's the same kind of stuff you should be doing in offline networking, right? But we'll talk about networking another day because I have to end in a few minutes here, and I can't go over today. And so that's on. So speaking here, Julia, here's what qualifies as speaking in a business building phase: speaking to groups, associations, organizations, meetup groups, right? Civic groups, volunteer groups, all of it. Speaking to other groups, other existing groups or organizations, right? About topics, right? That's speaking under business building, right? Also doing Facebook Lives. So doing Facebook Lives like this also counts as business building because I can interact with you. I can have a real live conversation with you. We are relationship building right now, right? So that counts as speaking too, or running my own events and my own workshops. Okay, those kind of speaking, because again, we're real time. You're sitting in front of me or you're sitting in front of me virtually. We're interacting, we're talking. That's speaking for a business building phase. And then obviously having a vendor table or an exhibitor table, right, somewhere, and then sales calls with people, right? Well, here's the thing, right? Like why are those business building activities? Those are activities that are calculated to generate revenue now or in the immediate future, because we know that revenue is built on know, like, and trust and relationships. So talking to people, engaging with people, having a real life conversation. So being in front of a live group, being in front of a live audience on the internet, like being able in a Facebook Live to talk to people back and forth, right? Talking to people on their posts, not just doing your educational posts, and having a vendor table, right? The purpose of all of this is to collect email addresses and to nurture relationships with the email addresses. Collect, right? I hate saying that, collect contacts, nurture the relationships with them, right? Like get people's information so that you own it and you can continue to nurture the relationship with them. Get them into a Facebook group, get them on your newsletter list where you can continue to nurture the relationship, right? That's just an example. That's not the only way, right? But Jillian, does this answer your question as to why a podcast doesn't really fulfill that, right? A podcast is me talking into a mic and having it recorded and then having it scheduled and going out into the air. I don't even get to know the people who listen to it necessarily, right? Like I can't see who listens to my podcast. I can see how many downloads I've had. I can see, but I can't tell who's downloaded it or who's listened to it. There's no way to do that, right? There's privacy. In fact, privacy is getting bigger and bigger with podcasts. So I can't even go ahead and like figure out a way to like contact them. You know, there's no way for me to do that, right? I can just hope that they continue to listen, right? That's marketing. Marketing is a one-way conversation. It's me talking to you. So a podcast is marketing, a blog is marketing. Although yes, I can comment on the comments on a blog, but still marketing. Writing an article and having that published, even though you could email me if you read it. Marketing, brochures, business cards, logos, all of that, marketing, right? Business building is revenue now or in the immediate future, which is based on relationships, based on like trust. Marketing is building a pipeline. These activities aren't going to generate revenue on their own. You can take away marketing. You can never have a website. You can never do all this stuff and still make sales and still get clients, right? But you can't take away sales calls and showing that you're the expert in relationships and speaking and only have marketing activities and make money. Does that make sense? Jennifer's like, how about building out your initial website? Marketing. I still don't have a website. I have a placeholder. I put it up a year ago. It's been 5 years. I don't have a website. I'm doing fine, right? Like you don't need it. Yes, eventually, does it help? Yes, but at the beginning, no, because when people meet you in person and you're speaking and they're seeing real life, you're an expert. They're sitting in front of you. They're hearing you talk. They like your personality. They love what you had to say. It made an impact on them. They're going to come up and say, how can I find out how to work with you? And you're going to schedule a sales call with them. And then they're going to say, yes, let's work together. They're never once going to go to your website, right? They're never once going to go to your website. So that's marketing. Right? Now, it's not that you're not going to do marketing in a business building phase or business building in a marketing phase. It means the predominant activities that you do in a day need to be the activities from your phase, right? So the more that if you're in a business building phase, the more hours you use on business building, the more quickly your business will build, right? And the more, like, see what I'm saying? Like if you're in a marketing phase, the more that you spend your time on marketing activities, the quicker your pipeline is going to build, right? And the more hours you take away, the slower it will be. But I say a minimum of 3 hours a day. Whoop, my computer just beeped at me. Because I have to go and find my guy client. A minimum of 3 hours a day, right? On business building activities or marketing based on the stage you're in. Then you can go to the other phase and do a few things, right? But just know the more you spend, the quicker your results will come. So if you don't have the clients you want, or you're really far away from the income you want, then the majority of your day needs to be networking, speaking like I described it here, right? Vendor tables or looking for vendor tables, looking for speaking, looking for networking, right? And having sales calls with people. And that's it. Like fill up your time with that, right? And so this is what I mean when most people tell me what they're doing in a day. What I find out is that their sales are suffering because they're doing the wrong tasks, right? They're doing the wrong tasks. And so when you get clear, right, when you get clear on what to do, right, where to put your focus, then everything changes, right? For everything changes. And this is just a piece of the puzzle, right? So I'm curious if you're watching now or if you're watching on replay, tell me what phase of business you're in. Are you in a business building phase or are you in a marketing phase? And then are the majority of your activities lining up with the activities that go with that phase of business, right? And if you're kind of in this crossover moment, then that's something maybe a little more individual that we need to talk about on a call. So if you want to call with me, let me know. We can hop on. We can see, are you really in a business building phase? Are you really doing business building activities? Are you doing them efficiently and effectively? Are you doing them as much as you should be? Are you over here doing too many marketing activities, right? But I would love to know from people who are watching, are you in a business building phase or are you in a marketing phase, right? That's what I want to hear. And if your sales aren't where you want them to be, which most of you said, our sales aren't where we want them to be, then you need to have a shift. You need to have a shift in your focus, right? So first is knowing what phase of business you're in and focusing only on the activities, right, that correspond to the phase, like what I told you about. So if you're just jumping on, be sure you go back and listen. And then like filling your day with just those activities, the way I described them. But even more than that, it's shifting your focus to one narrower market or one kind of person you want to help for now. It doesn't mean that the next thing you won't focus on a different person, but like focus on one kind of problem you want to solve. One person who has one kind of problem and you have the solution for it and one way to solve it, right? And then one way to market that and go all in on those things. Jennifer, you might want to call with me. I'm going to put a link to schedule a clarity call. If you want that, you can click and schedule. It's a complimentary clarity call. We can talk and see, like, because you're in the middle, like we can see where you need to be shifting and what you need to be doing. So feel free to click on that and schedule a call, and we can have that chat. We can talk that through. So Tracy's in business building, right? So you guys see, like, but that's how you shift your focus. You take away all the things, you focus on one thing. One problem you're solving, one person you're solving it for, one solution to solving it. Right? One way to market that solution, really go all in on it, or at least one phase of business and all the activities under that phase, right? Like one. You see how by like doing that and going all in, going deeper with one thing instead of wider with a lot of things, you will have bigger results, right? So your sales will increase when your shift focuses, when your focus shifts, and your focus shifts from all of these things to just more narrow, you will get bigger results. I promise you, right? You might think you're casting a wide net, so you should have more results, but the truth is that's not true, right? That's the thing that's getting in your way because you can't do all these things and do any one of them well. You can't do them deep enough to get results. You can't be consistent enough with them to get results, right? So we really need to know, and it's the same thing with marketing, right? Like a lot of people in the marketing phase wonder why they're not building their pipeline, but it's because they're doing business building activities and not pipeline activities, right? And there is that middle ground to merge. So hopefully you guys found this helpful. I have to go. I have a client at 6. Thank you guys so much for this, for listening today. I want to just answer your questions. So if you're watching this on replay, if you have questions about this, I'd love to know, did this help? Did this help give you some clarity about what you might want to do? What's a question you have based off of this now? What is something you're going to do differently, right, based off of this? Where are you going to shift? What is something that you're going to do, right? Like, I want to know. Answer it in the comments. I'll also leave a link if anybody wants to get on the phone with me and talk about this and how it relates to you individually. We can absolutely do that too, okay? All right, everybody, have a great day. I hate to rush off, but I will talk to you soon. I'm going to be on for the next Power Sheet series and all kinds of fun stuff. So take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.